All right, here's some progress from over the weekend. What I started with is I cut a little bit more of the frame. I had about another foot or so, and in order to get the clearance I want for the links and all that, I cut it forward a little bit more. I capped it with a piece of 3/16 plate, and then I did this new chassis tube. So this is going to be the bottom part of kind of replacing the frame rail, the new back half. So what I did is I kicked this in. So let me show you from the back. So as you can see, I kicked it in, and the reason I did that is because I needed to put my bump stop in of the frame rail. The reason for that is I'm going to have a mezzanine arm right here that's going to be swinging, and that's where the shocks are going to mount to the mezzanine arm up into the chassis up top towards the top of the roll cage. And so in order to do that, I needed to make sure I have my bump stop tucked in as much as possible so I could still have the mezzanine arm kick here. And all this area, as you can tell, like this isn't landing perfect, but that's okay because of I'm going to be doing some plate work that's going to tie all this structure in. And then on top of this is going to be a tube that lands down and ties up to another cross tube. And so it'll be kind of, it's just a little triangle that's kicked in. The rest of it's going to be tied in really well. So not too worried about that. This is my fuel safe 32-gallon fuel cell. It's all aluminum, pretty cool. Not super heavy and looks like it's a little bit thicker, which is cool. Underneath here is going to be an X or a square with some X's. I'm going to be doing those X's out of 2-inch 095. The rest of the chassis, or most of the chassis, is going to be 2-inch 120 wall DOM. I'm not doing any chromoly or anything like that. I'm not good enough to warrant that, and I don't think I'm going to be driving fast enough to warrant that. Let's see. Underneath here, I'm going to be doing some plate work to triangulate and gusset this back up to about right here, because that's where the lower link will end up coming up. So I'm going to gusset that, tie it in really well. Next is, I was saying I need to do underneath the fuel cell cradle. There's going to be some tubes that kick up and out here, and then there's going to be another cross tube. There's going to be some triangulation up to that. That way the upper links will tuck up nicely into there. Also going to be doing a tube that comes from about right here that follows the upper links up into this upper tube up here. The reason for that is obviously it adds some triangulation that's much needed for the side-to-side chassis play, because obviously this isn't going to be enough down here just by itself. But also, having triangles makes it easier for plate work. But lastly, having this structure right here, what I'm going to try to do is I'm trying to make some tunnels down into here underneath that follows these links. And I want to be able to store tools and maybe CV axle, things like that underneath here. And then I'm thinking I'm going to be putting the battery somewhere around right here, tucked up underneath or in between the links above the drive shaft. We'll see if I can make that work in between kind of the two seats. I will be doing a firewall behind the C-pillar. That way I don't have to worry too much about oil and gas and anything like that potentially getting on my children, because I'm going to be having some oil coolers, transmission coolers up in there. So that if that leaks, I don't want to be just boiling transmission fluid over the family. Can't have that happen. So once I get the back half done, I'm going to then start at the A pillar, do the cross tube, do the intrusion bars, work my way back, B pillar, and then head back into the C pillar. But the reason I wanted to start in the back is I wanted to make sure that I have room for where I'm planning to put my axle, my fuel cell, and have room for the mezzanine arms. This axle is an axle that I built a while back. It's a 4.9-inch 35 spline semi-float. It's not wide enough. It's only like 65.5 or so wheel mountain surface. So I am going to be doing probably like a Camberg rear axle full float. But since those are really expensive, I'm going to be using this for a mock-up for now. I was going to use it, but plans changed, and yeah, not happening anymore. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Just got to get the back half kind of buttoned up, and then once I get the back half buttoned up, then it's time to start on the A pillar and work my way back, then start mounting seats, and yeah, go from there.